Hello everyone, it is Friday, May 25th, 2018. Of course, Wednesday was New Comic Book Day, but unfortunately my shop didn't get their books on time, so they opened up a few hours later than normal. And so since I had to go to work, I couldn't get my books until Thursday, so I thought I would do a video tonight. Not a real big week, so there's not going to be a whole lot of books to show. I've been showing some of my favorite covers the last few weeks, and I've been getting a good response on that, so thank you for that. But I did get some requests from viewers saying, hey, you used to show books that you picked up during the week, the older books. Can you get back to doing that? And I happened to pick up 4 books today, which I'm going to show you, and then kind of have a comment as it relates to grading standards and how they've changed a little bit, because a viewer asked me if I've seen changes in how the grading standards are on older books. So I have. So let's jump right into the books, shall we? First book I'm going to show, 4th printing, Thanos 15. Really nice book right there. 5th printing, Thanos 13. I bought these strictly for the cover because I just like the cover on these, and it's okay to buy books. I've said that before. If you have a cover that you like, you can buy it based off of the cover because there's nothing wrong with that. It's called collecting, okay? You don't have to sit there, I already have the story and there's no sense in buying another book. Sure, if you like the cover, buy it. Another one, 4th printing of 13, which I thought was another really nice cover. Amazing Spider-Man 798, 3rd printing. I'm going to buy the stuff with the Red Goblin just because it's leading up to 800, and I've really enjoyed this storyline during this section of the Amazing Spider-Man. So, right there. No Justice, number 3. One more book left on that, and I think they're going to continue this storyline because it's been selling really good, and it's actually a pretty good read. So I think they're going to keep that going. Spider-Man Deadpool 33. Detective 981. Almost like a Virgin variant, but when you can get square-jawed Batman over the bat signal, I'm going to buy that all day long. That's just a really cool-looking book. And same concept, Flash 47. Really cool-looking book. Zombie Tramp 47. They had a couple different covers of this. This was the only one I liked, so it was the only one that I bought. Wonder Woman 47. And finally, the regular cover of Detective 981. And that is all that came out this week for me. Again, I didn't have an opportunity to get into the store early and cherry pick some things out. So there was probably a couple of books that I missed out on, but that's okay. Doesn't cost me any money. So it only costs the shop money when they, it's not their fault that the distributor didn't get their books to them, but it kind of hurts them a little bit because, they lose a little bit of money there. So there's that. So again, I've been showing a lot of my favorite covers the last few weeks, and again, I've been getting really good response on that, but I did have an opportunity to pick up 4 books today, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to show the 4 books I picked up today because I've been getting a request for it. So let's jump right into it, shall we? First book, Fine Minus from 1969, Superboy 153, Neal Adams. I say it every week, if you can find a 12-cent Neal Adams in mid to high grade at a good price, and you don't buy it, you're missing out. Because these books are getting harder and harder to find, period. Next book, 1969, a Joe Buscema cover, Silver Surfer 13. I graded this fine, very fine. A little bit of issue up here on the book, but otherwise a really nice book. Just a cool cover. Silver Surfer run from here. Really, really nice books. Really cool covers. And a nice hardcore following for the Silver Surfer. Another really nice book I picked up. Real happy with this one. This was Thor 163. I graded this very fine. Jack Kirby. You cannot go wrong with Jack Kirby. It's just a really nice book right there. Good color, clean, and again, 12 center hard to find in, you know, mid to high grade. I was happy to get that. And the final book, this is also from 1965, Fantastic Four 42. And this is another Jack Kirby. That's just a beautiful book right there. Now, this would have been a much higher grade book, but it has a tiny tear right there, if you can see it. Otherwise, a beautiful, beautiful book. Sorry for the glare. Which we transition now into a question. Viewer asked me if I've seen a difference in grading standards with grading companies over the last few years, and the answer to that is yes. Now, when I was grading these books out, I'm very difficult on myself when I'm grading because I want to be true to my grades. And just like I had stated before, that if you buy a book from me, I guarantee you most of the time people are going to be very happy with the grades because they're going to think they're graded higher than that. So I looked at this Fantastic Four 42 and I thought, can I give that book a 7? And I thought I could, because I didn't think that the small tear was a big issue. But I always research. I just don't, off the top of my head, I always look and I research and I look to see, are there other standards that can justify the grade for that book if I'm kind of on the fence for it because of it. So I did some research, and this is what I found. Of course, the first thing I did was I looked at my trusty grading comic book guide, the Overstreet. And if you haven't seen this, we've talked about it. They will give you pictures of books in the different grades. So I went to 7.0 because that's the grade I gave that Fantastic Four. And I was looking at some different grades. You read the, you know, what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable. And I found the picture for Weird Science Fantasy, excuse me, old EC book, 1953. And they have this as a fine, very fine, a 7.0. And you look at it, and it has spine tear and another tear. And of course, some other, you know, abraded corners and things of that nature. So I saw that and I thought, you know what? If that's acceptable, that tiny tear is acceptable. And then I went on eBay and I started looking to find some more, you know, books in this time frame. And what I found was a Fantastic Four 45. It was a sold listing. Book sold for $387. Of course, that is the first appearance of Inhumans. And they graded it a 7.0 with cream to off-white pages. Now, the pages in this are very, very strong, stronger than the cream to off-white. It's a really good, clean book, like I had stated before. And the one thing I noticed on this was it had a lot of damage on the upper portion of the comic up here, but they graded it a 7. And the one thing that stood out to me, and you can look at this yourself, is the upper right-hand corner of the book above the comic code is missing. Probably that much of the book is missing. Completely gone. Now, you gave that a 7. There's a missing piece in there. If you don't believe me, if you look at this book in a 7.0, missing pieces, none allowed. You cannot miss any pieces on there. None allowed on missing pieces. There's a missing piece. So it goes back to what we had discussed in prior videos, that if it's a key book, CGC seems to be real lenient on their grades and are giving higher grades than what they should because of the cost factor. Now, I don't have an issue with somebody getting a nice high grade for their book. You know, if they're willing to pay for it, that's on them. It's good for them. Whoever sent that book in and got a 7 for it, good for them, because someone's going to buy it and say it's a 7, but it's got a missing piece. They're not talking, when they say missing pieces, they're not talking about just Marvel stamps or a coupon cutout. A missing piece is a part of the book that's just missing. Now, the first grade that you can get away with a missing piece in the grading standards, now this is the Overstreet grading standard, the first grade you can get away with a missing piece is a 4.5, and you can have, you know, a little bit, a 1/8, what is it, a 1/8 triangle or 1/16 square. 4.5 is the first place, or the highest grade you can get with a missing piece, and here's a 7 with a missing piece. There's other books online that you can find with a missing piece with a higher grade. And again, this is where the issue comes in, that how accurate and how feasible is it to actually pay money to get your books graded when the company isn't even following the standards set forth by the grading guide. They're supposed to be professional graders. This is supposed to be the standard by which everybody grades the books. This is the standard that people have been grading books by since it came out. When the Overstreet first came out in the 70s, this was the standard. This was the gold standard. And now they're changing the standards, but it only seems that they're changing the standards on key books. So I had mentioned that as a cost factor. And again, I'm not knocking them, and people are going to come out and say, oh, there you go again, knocking CGC. I'm not knocking CGC. It's obvious that there's something wrong with the system, and the system has to be fixed. Grading can be an excellent tool for the comic community if it's consistent and accurate, which it isn't. And more people are seeing that. More and more people are seeing shoddy grades. You know, you're paying big money for bad grading, and it's ultimately going to hurt the industry because people are going to buy these books and they're not getting what they pay for. That's why I prefer raw books. So there's that. So yes, to answer your question, you can have a small tear on your book and still be a mid to high grade and be acceptable, because there's a lot of, you know, other books online that have sold that have the same defects and worse defects in higher grades. So there it is. Again, just kind of a little rant. It was a little, you know, slow week for books. I hope you like the vintage books I picked up. I'm going to show more of my covers, my favorite covers, but that's pretty much what we have right now. So again, I appreciate all the support. Thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Send me a question. I'll be more than happy to answer it. So I hope you liked the video, but if you didn't, nothing I can do for you. Have a great night, and I'll see you next week.